Hello and welcome again to my NT marriage video channel videos. Anyway, friend zoned. I'm sure you've heard that saying before. And generally, depending on who you hear it from, it has different meanings. So from the sort of incel perspective, friend zoned is where they like a girl and that girl doesn't like them romantically, but she will use them, like call them up and say, can you give me a lift to a party? Can you buy me some cigarettes? Can you get me some alcohol? Things like that. You know, she's essentially using the fact that that guy has a crush on her to get her needs met. So that's one definition of friend zoned. The other idea of being friend zoned is simply just kind of standard human behavior where you like somebody but they only like you as a friend and they don't use you or do anything like that. They just don't reciprocate feelings. And fundamentally, that's the majority of how friend zoning goes. Well, I don't know the stats really. Is it 50-50 that there's users and then there's just friends? I feel like the users are not as high as just standard friends zoning each other. Put it this way, when I was in high school, there were numerous situations where that guy liked that girl and that girl liked that guy, but he didn't like her and she didn't like him, and we all just hung out with each other anyway. There weren't a lot of users going on, although I have known the odd user who gets guys to give them stuff because. But anyway, I digress. When I met my partner, it was almost like being friend-zoned, but in a different way. He wasn't using me, and it wasn't that I liked him and he didn't like me. But we were friend-zoned, or should I say, I was friend-zoned, in that he put me in the "you're just a friend" category. It went straight from kind of dating and being a love interest to moving in and being a housemate. And I was like, hey, where's the affection and the flirting and the intimacy and the romance? And although I can't really speak to romance, he did do Valentine's and take me out for my birthday, and we did do Christmas and things. And he would often give me jewellery with a note that said, I love you. So there was a semblance of romance. There was certainly the odd occasion where we'd had a blow up and a fight, and then flowers would appear at my work. That's in those 3 years that I lived with him. So it wasn't that romance was completely dead. It was just very sporadic and too far in between. And it didn't exist in our day-to-day life. There was no flirting as I cooked or as we sat watching TV or anything like this. He literally just treated me like a mate. He did want sex with me at the end of the night. It was almost like a routine thing with him, not so much a I love you thing. I mean, he probably felt that. But it was not a sense that you got from being with him, because he would largely ignore you and then want sex. So it was a kind of an interesting friendship in that it was kind of friend-zoned with benefits, or a housemate with benefits, and a little bit frustrating in that the sex was benefiting him more than it was benefiting me. But I still got certain things out of the relationship in that he was financially well-to-do, he looked after me. I worked as well anyway, I had my own income, but it was still the stability, the support, the safety. You knew you were going to be looked after. See, I find it sort of interesting that people talk a lot about friend zoning, and then when you meet a person on the spectrum, it's almost like that's where the relationship goes instantly. And it's kind of a cool thing in a sense that they feel comfortable enough around you just to be your friend. Like they seem to settle into the relationship quite quickly. And like I said, it's not the other friend zones where somebody's pretending to reciprocate feelings just to get things from you, but really they have no intention of following through. But yeah, that's what it felt like. That's what I'm getting at. That's what it felt like. I get into this relationship with this guy who's shown some romantic interest in me. He's doing the flowers and the chocolates and the jewellery and such. But we move in together and it's just friend zone. He's sitting on one couch, I'm sitting on the other, and that's it. And he's watching a whack ton of telly, and we're not communicating or flirting or doing any of the sort of typical romance things. We just existed like good mates almost from the get-go. Now, I would hazard a guess that majority of you have had this exact same experience, that this was exactly how it worked for you, and you might not call it friend zoned the way that I'm referring to it here. You might just think of it as a dud relationship or being completely ignored and neglected, you know. That's certainly a factor. And I guess I'm lucky in that sense that he wasn't 100% neglectful. He did talk to me, he didn't shut me out. We did have a sort of friendship. So I know other people out there kind of have even more quiet and distant and colder guys than I had. So for them, friend zoned is probably not how they're feeling. But anyway, if that's you or not, feel free to leave a comment below. And if you're on the spectrum, I'm really curious to know what you think about this. Did you go in a relationship and do this? Can you hear that in this scenario that I'm speaking of, that's how your partner would have felt? Or did you go in the relationship and just feel like you were good friends and you only needed to be friends? Curious to hear from all sides, any side, doesn't matter. Leave a comment below, love to hear from you. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. Really do appreciate it.